Let's chat about French pattern companies. Hi, my name is Sarah, and if you're new to my channel, I make videos about sewing and styling a handmade wardrobe. Today, I'm going to be sharing some of the French pattern companies that I have tried, letting you know what makes that I have created from each of these designers and what I think of them. And then at the end, I'll have a few more companies that I have never sewn from myself, but I really like the look of their designs and I just wanted to share them with you. I also have a few words I want to say about all the lovely comments that I received on my last video, but I'm going to save that for the end. Now this video was definitely inspired by a series that I've seen from the channel Steph Sewn. She's created several videos about different pattern designers around the world, and as I was watching one of her videos one day, it occurred to me that I've actually sewn quite a few patterns from French pattern companies. So although I don't see myself doing the whole world like she has done, I would definitely love to share with you all of the French pattern companies that I have tried and let you know my experiences with their designs. Also, for those of you who watched my petite video, I was said in that video that I wasn't really interested in sharing pattern companies for smaller sizes, but I do think that if you're someone who is looking for smaller sizes, that French pattern companies might be a good place for you to look, because often, not always, but a lot of the French pattern companies do tend to have smaller sizes. So that was another reason why I wanted to create this video as well. I also just really love French style in general, how it tends to be very classic, very simple, and yet has nice feminine details. It's not exactly my personal style, but I think that a lot of the elements fit in very well with the things that I like to wear. So let's just get into it with the first pattern company, which is Deer & Doe. Now, in case you are unaware, Deer & Doe was recently purchased by Closet Core, which is actually a Canadian company. So technically, they're not a French company anymore. However, because they were a French-owned company and all of the designs that are currently available are from French pattern designers, I'm going to go ahead and still include them in this video, even though newer releases from the company will be from the Closet Core brand, and so they'll actually be Canadian. Hopefully you can overlook that little detail. Now, Deer & Doe does come with both English and French instructions, and as we go, I'm going to be putting up graphics so you can see the sizing range. In my opinion, they draft for curvier shapes. For all of the Deer & Doe patterns that I have made, I've had to make significant adjustments in order to fit my body. So because of that reason, they're not my first choice when I'm looking for a pattern. If I can find a certain garment that's similar in different pattern companies, I might choose a different pattern company just because their block isn't the best for me. But I really do like their overall aesthetic. I have made 3 of their patterns. I've made the Maya Soda's dress once, and I did recently refashion it because the bell sleeve wasn't really working for me, but now that I've made it into a short sleeve dress, I really love that dress, and I feel like it's gonna be in my closet for years. It's a pretty simple variation of a shirt dress, but it's very comfortable, very relaxed, but very pretty. It's an extremely popular pattern in the sewing community, and I can definitely see why. The second pattern that I've made from them is the Sirocco jumpsuit. I've actually made that 3 times now, and I really like the look of it. As I stated, I did have to make a ton of adjustments in order to get it to fit me, but now that I have put in that work, it's a pattern that I will go back to again and again because I just really like the shape of the jumpsuit. It's a knit jumpsuit, so it's very comfortable. It has a little faux wrap front. And it's stretchy, so it's easy to get it on and off, and it does have 2 different lengths. You can do a short length romper or you can do a full length jumpsuit. I will definitely put up pictures of my first 2 versions that I have made. The third one is actually a very recent make that I will be sharing in my upcoming April makes video. And then the last Deer & Doe pattern that I have made is the Réglisse dress. I apologize if I'm not saying that right. I've only sewn this one time, and it was a kit that I had gotten from Needle Sharp. This is a really pretty dress that has a kind of a V-neck with a tie, and then it has a half circle skirt, so it's a little bit of a fit and flare dress. That silhouette is actually not my favorite on me personally, but I do really like this dress. I think that it's very pretty, very feminine. I don't really see myself sewing this one again because I just feel like this dress is unique enough to stand on its own. I don't necessarily feel like I need another version, but I did really enjoy sewing this one, and I think that the finished result is beautiful. The next company I'd like to share is I Am Patterns. They also have both English and French instructions. One thing to note about them is that they do have different sizing from their paper to their PDF patterns. So their PDF range has a little bit of a bigger size range than the paper. Also, I'm pretty sure if you buy the paper patterns, the pieces overlap, so you will absolutely have to trace them. For me, that's a pretty big deal breaker. Like, I wouldn't buy a paper pattern if I had to trace it, and so I only buy the PDF, so it's not a problem for me. I really like IM Patterns because their block does tend to fit my body pretty well, kind of right out of the gate. Of course, I always have to make length adjustments, but I would say that the block fits me better than the Deer and Doe block. I also really like that IM Patterns tends to design basics that have tons and tons of different variations. So I really enjoy that I can get a lot of bang for my buck, buy a pattern, get it to fit me really well, and then just make tons of different versions from this one pattern. So I have bought quite a few of their patterns, but for the ones that I've actually sewn up so far, I've made the rainbow hoodie, I've made both a pullover hoodie and also a dress. And I liked that so much that I went ahead and also purchased the rainbow hoodie for men, and I made a hoodie for my husband out of that, which he really loves and he wears all the time. I've also made the sunshine jeans. Now those pants didn't quite work out for me, but it was really my own fault because I made the wrong size. I do intend to one day go back and revisit that pattern, but I haven't as yet. And then the last pattern that I've sewn up from them is the Gaston jacket. This one I made out of a faux fur fabric, and I really like that jacket. It's nice and warm and cozy. It's a simple shape, and it's another one that has a ton of different variations, so I could make multiple jackets using this one pattern and they would all look really different. The one that I made has kind of more of a lady jacket style, but you can also make it look more like a bomber. You can put different fastenings on it. I think you can do a zipper or you can do snaps. So there's just tons of different things that you can do with this one pattern, which is why I really like it. The next French pattern company is Jolie Lab. I believe they do have both paper and PDF patterns, and they also have both English and French instructions. I really love their aesthetic. It reminds me a lot of Cezanne. They have tons of pretty blouses and dresses in their collection. I have bought 3 patterns from them and I've actually sewn up all 3, which is pretty rare for me. I'm getting better at it these days, but a lot of times in the past I would buy a lot of different patterns from companies and then maybe not sew them up. But I have sewn up 100% of the patterns that I bought from Jolie Lab, so I just feel like that's a testament to how much I like their designs. The 3 patterns that I have made from them, I've made the hazel shirt out of a denim fabric. That one's not my favorite and I haven't worn it a ton. It's a relatively new make that I've made this year. I do think that with some of the feedback that I received from others that maybe my issue with that top is that it's a little bit too big for me. So that's my own fault, it's not the fault of the pattern. I do really like the idea of the design, but I think if I were to sew it again, I would maybe try to size down a little bit and also make it out of a flowier fabric. The second design that I have sewn from them is the Marinaire Mallow, and I absolutely love that top. It's a red and white striped jersey. It's very French, very Breton stripe. It has some really nice and unique details. It's not just a plain t-shirt. And that one I could see myself making again in the future. I would even consider making the dress version because I just think it would be very, very classic. And then the third design that I've made from them is the agate blouse, which I do like, although I don't wear it a ton. I think in this case that maybe my fabric was a little bit too stiff. I might have preferred something a little bit flowier. So that is a pattern that I would think about revisiting in the future, but I just haven't done it yet. Next up is Maison Fauve. They also have both English and French instructions. I have only sewn one pattern from them and it was their free pattern, the pom-pom vest. Maison Fauve also has a few other free patterns that look really nice, although I haven't tried them myself. The thing that I liked about the vest that I made is that it has some really, really nice tailored details. A lot of companies put out free patterns that are just like a basic t-shirt or a boxy top, something that's very, very basic. And although I don't think there's anything wrong with that, I do appreciate that Maison Fauve was willing to put out something that was a little bit more involved for free. I think that was very generous of them. I have not tried any of their other patterns. I haven't purchased any patterns from them thus far, but I do think that they are gaining a lot of popularity in the sewing community. So I'm sure there's lots of other examples out there if you're looking to find other people who have sewn up Maison Fauve designs and get their opinion. From what I've seen, they seem to be very well reviewed. The next company is Ready to Sew. They also come with both English and French instructions. I have purchased a couple of their patterns, but at this point I've only sewn one. I have sewn that one pattern multiple times. The pattern that I bought from them is the Jazz Jumpsuit, and I think it has something like over 80 different variations, so it is a very involved pattern. I made a couple pairs of overalls and I really like the results, and so I would like to revisit this pattern and try some of the other variations. I just haven't had time to do that yet. They also have a lot of really nice sort of simple, classic, basic designs but with a twist. So although I've only sewn up one of their patterns to date, I would really like to try some others in the future. And I also really appreciate that this company is super open and transparent about sizing and the process of how difficult or how simple it is to increase a size range. They have lots of information on their blog about that, and they've been very transparent about when they can't upsize a certain pattern, they'll tell you the reasons why. I do really appreciate that. I think that it's very informative, and so for that reason, I think it's worth supporting this company. The last French pattern company that I have sewn from myself is Vanessa Pouzet. I have made the wanted tee several times now. I believe this company only releases French instructions, but because the t-shirt that I made is pretty simple, I was able to successfully translate the instructions in Google Translate with no issue. But just so you know, I'm pretty sure they do not have an English translation of their instructions. The design aesthetic of Vanessa Pouzet is kind of boho, very girly, very feminine. Their catalog is quite small, so I don't really see myself purchasing any of their other patterns at this time. But if that's your vibe, they have some absolutely stunning designs that would really suit someone who is sort of a free spirit boho kind of personality. Like I said, I've made the wanted tee several times now. I want to say that I've made it 3 or 4 times, and I really, really like the pattern. I think that the square neckline is just very feminine, very graceful. And I did buy the extension pack so that you can turn it into a dress, and I haven't tried that yet, but I really want to at some point because I think that it would make a really nice form-fitting dress that would still be very comfortable to wear. Now I would like to share with you 6 more French pattern companies that I haven't sewn anything from them, but I've got my eye on their patterns. And just a quick note, as many of you might know by now, I'm currently doing a no-buy, and so I'm not purchasing any new patterns for myself. But I do still really want to support small businesses. I want to support the sewing community in the best way that I can. And so even if I'm not supporting them financially, then this is a way that I can try to help small businesses by using my teeny tiny little platform here on YouTube and Instagram to just get some attention on some companies that you might not have heard of. I do want to say that if you are not looking to buy anything right now, don't feel pressured to make any purchases. I will be putting the links to these shops down below, but that is for your information and to do with what you will. If you don't want to buy anything, then don't feel pressured to do so from me. None of these are affiliate links either. So with that said, the first company I want to share is Apolline Patterns. Similar to Jolie Lab, they have a very feminine aesthetic, also reminding me of Cezanne. A lot of the samples that they show are in small scale florals or really flowy silhouettes, and it just looks very romantic, very pretty. There's a limited number of their patterns that have English instructions. I think most of their catalog is just in French. And it's also important to note that not all of their patterns come in the full size range. So you'll want to check the sizing on each individual pattern. The pattern that stood out to me the most is the Oliver, which is a jumpsuit or romper that has a halter crisscross style neckline. It just looks like a really fun and summery jumpsuit that could be dressed up or worn more casually. I did make a knit top last year that has a very similar kind of neckline, and I'm not quite sure if I love it or not, but I do think that it looks really nice on me, so I would be interested in trying that silhouette again at some point. The next company is Atelier Scamet. I might be saying that wrong, apologies. This pattern company does have both English and French instructions. Their designs are a little bit more classic, but they still have delicate details, and they have lots of different options, which is something that I always really like. I love having variety in just one pattern. The pattern of theirs that I have chosen to highlight is the Declic. It's a free pattern. This one is a simple boxy top that has a V-neck, and then it has some pleats in the shoulder, which offers a little bit more detail than just a basic boxy top. I think that this design would be a great showcase for some beautiful printed fabric. And I may give this one a try myself at some point because it is free. The next company is Clématisse. Their instructions are in French only, but they do offer video tutorials. This company has a very sexy, beachy vibe. A lot of their designs are quite strappy or they have open backs. Now this is a silhouette that I would say that I myself am not 100% comfortable with all the time, but I do like the look of it. The pattern of theirs that actually appealed to me the most was their butterfly sweatshirt. This one has color blocking and it really caught my eye, like the vibrancy of the color blocking. I think it would be a really good use for scraps. And I just really like how it has bold pleats for an exaggerated 80s kind of shoulder. And it also comes with buttoned cuffs. So all those little details just really stood out to me and made it seem like something really unique and fun. The next company that I'd like to share is French Poetry. They have a really small catalog of mostly dresses. They tend to have a bit of a vintage vibe, and they have a lot of fit and flare styles. They do come with both English and French instructions. The dress of theirs that I liked the most was the Serious dress. It's actually very similar to a vintage Simplicity dress that I made a couple of years ago. It's a sweet 90s inspired slip dress that has a little bit of flare at the bottom for an A-line shape. It has thin straps, a sweetheart neckline, and it's princess seamed with no waist seam. I like how they showed the sample in a solid and in a print. I think that they're equally beautiful. Now, I would not purchase this dress myself because I already own something very similar, but because my Simplicity pattern is out of print, if you were looking for something similar, I think this would fit the bill. Okay, this next one, I'm gonna butcher the name, so sorry. It's Les Lubies de Cadia. I had never heard of this company before, and I just stumbled upon them when I was doing my research looking up French pattern companies. I like that they have some really interesting and unique details like pleats, scallops, tucks, and bows, and they tend to be on more simple silhouettes. They do come with both English and French instructions, and the pattern that appealed to me the most from them was the Helsinki shirt. This is a button-up shirt that comes with sleeveless or short sleeve options. It has a really unique oversized collar, a double pleat under the back yoke, and the thing that I really liked about it was the swingy shape of the cropped version. It just looks very breezy, very summery. And this one I would actually be really interested in purchasing myself and trying it out once my no-buy is over. The next company I'd like to share with you is Lee's Tailor. Now, this company not only sells sewing patterns, but they also sell knitting patterns as well as fabrics and yarns. Now, in terms of their sewing patterns, they have a nice variety of designs from dresses to loungewear to swimwear. A lot of their designs to me have kind of vacation vibes, like they seem very summery. Now, I was not able to find any information about what language the patterns come in, so I'm going to assume that they're in French only. The design of theirs that appealed to me the most was the Pauline dress. It's a strappy sundress that has a ruched center front that can be shorter or longer. The waistband of the skirt and the back of the dress have shirring to bring it in. It comes in a mini or a midi length, and it's another one that just looks like it would be an absolutely beautiful showcase for a wonderful print. So please let me know in the comments if you have tried any of these French pattern companies for yourself and what your experiences have been. I would love to hear it. And before you go, I would just like to say a few things about all the comments that I received on my last video. I just want to thank everyone so much for leaving such heartfelt and very emotional comments. A lot of you have told me that you're going through a very similar thing that I have gone through, and I just really appreciated hearing your stories, and I definitely felt less alone, so thank you so much for that. To be honest with you, I don't necessarily have the best outlook on humanity. It's just part of my nature, but it's things like reading the comments that you guys left me that gives me a little bit of hope that people who I have never met, and most of whom that I never will meet, could show me such grace and dignity and love, and I just really, really appreciate that. So thank you so much. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.